So come give me love.
What's up guys, it's BT here, and I haven't felt this consistent while aiming in a very long time. Now what's changed, you might ask? Well, I received the Lamzu Atlantis Mini. Let's talk about this and why in-game might be punching the air right about now. Now, if you guys remember, at the end of last year, the Lamzu Atlantis OG version came in at number 3 on the list, and that is mainly due to its build quality. So here, the coating is pretty much the same, very similar to something like a super light coating, but with a slightly more matte finish. In my opinion, I take this coating over the super lights coating any day of the week. Now, if for whatever reason you're unhappy with the coating, they've included some grips within the box that can go on the left and right side of the mouse, as well as the mouse 1 and 2. Something interesting that I saw was the side grips go around the side buttons. Usually this piece isn't there. And not only that, they've included some grips for the side buttons themselves. Now, I'm not completely sold on this because when I put them on or installed them, they're still kind of flaying up off the sides. They're kind of not laying all the way flat, and I can see over time this just moving and slipping around, and so I would just keep them off. There's no reason, like nobody's really gripping their mouse on the mouse buttons. I don't know, maybe some people do, but that's pretty dangerous because you probably hit something that you didn't mean to hit in a tight situation. The mouse again is white with blue side buttons and scroll wheel. They are planning to bring more colors just like the original. The translucent bottom looks great, going along with that Atlantis underwater theme. They've also included in the box a couple of different options for your mouse feet. They have these dots which give you a faster swiping experience because there's less surface area, and then they also give you 2 big feet, one for the front and one from the back if you want more surface area, more smoothness, and a little bit more control. Now, I still prefer the 4 smaller stock feet that come already installed on the mouse because it gives you a balance of speed and control, but it's nice that they've given you these options for you to experiment without having to go out and buy multiple different feet. Now I'm just waiting for them to add in those glass feet in the box just to have all the bases covered. They did that with the first couple of mice that they released on the OG version, which is pretty cool. Would love to see them just make that a mainstay in all of their mice. So the mouse weight is quoted at 49 grams. I got just over 50 on my scale. Normally when the weight is in the 40 to about the low 50 gram range, I'm just not as accurate or consistent day to day, but I think that's where this mouse differs from other mice in this weight category, is the fact that the shape is so good that it allows you to control this lighter weight mouse. So let's talk about this shape. Now, of course, this is the mini version of the original, so they've shaved off a few millimeters off the side. The most noticeable difference is the 6 millimeters they took off the length of the mouse, which I quite enjoy. I just found the OG to be a little bit long for my liking. I always found the OG Lamzu and the XM1 type mice a little bit too long for me, even with my medium hands. I have 19 by 8.5 centimeter hand. They've also taken 3 millimeters off the sides and 1 millimeter off the height. I had somebody ask me if they should upgrade to this mouse from the original. I'd say if you have too much room at the front end of the mouse, then yes, 100% do it. Just like me, it just felt like I had way too much room in the front. Wasn't necessary, and overall it just felt like I didn't have as much control as I do with the Mini. So if you love the Lamzu but it was just a little bit too big like me, you're gonna love the Mini. So stop what you're doing, go out and buy it right now. One thing that makes this one of the best shapes on the market is that diamond back shape for your palm. It feels great, very comfortable. And then they have the nice ledges on the left and right side for your thumb, ring finger, and pinky. The control that you get with this mouse is just unparalleled to anything else. This is what we all were asking in-game to do for years now. They never did it, and somebody came and they did it for them because the XM1 was longer than Avatar 2. Now when I compare it to other mice like the Pulsar X2, which is more of a traditional bulbous shape and straight sides, I still feel like you'll get more control with the Lamzu because of the hips and the lower front end. But the X2 is no slouch. I love the slight dips in the mouse 1 and 2, the grooves that the Lamzu doesn't have, and I kind of wish they did have. And some people might like the straighter sides, especially if you're a fingertip grip user, because it'll keep your fingers straighter. And that could in turn lead some people to aim a bit better. But at the end of the day, both are very, very comfortable. Now, another design feature that you might love with this mouse is the low center of gravity that it has. It's not as lifted as something like the Pulsar X2, which gives you more stability overall when you're aiming. And I can say that translates here whenever I play with the Lamzu. Now, I know people are gonna ask me what's better, this shape or the Viper Mini shape. I still prefer the Viper Mini shape. That's just me. I love it. It just, the gradual hump on the back just feels amazing, and the grooves on the 1 and 2. The Lamzu is still no slouch. The Mini is great, especially it's a nice placeholder until we get that Viper Mini. Now, for claw grippers, one of the best things you can do for yourself is just go ahead and pick up this mouse. Whether it's the original one or the new Mini, like I talked about, the shape is just so well designed in all the right areas. Now, you can fingertip grip with this mouse. It is an ambi mouse, right? Ambi. The hips stick out so far on the sides that it kind of gets in the way of your fingers, unless you're like one of the pencil types, but still, it just doesn't feel correct, right? And then once you start doing that, your palm starts getting in the way because of the hump in the back. If you do use fingertip grip, this mouse can work, but for fingertip, I'd probably just go with the X2 instead. The straighter sides are just way better for that kind of grip. Now, you can palm grip this mouse, but it does shoot your fingers over. It'll never feel 100% comfortable because the hump is just so far up the middle. For something like that, just go with the Death Adder V3 Pro, or, you know, hopefully we get a Death Adder V3 Pro Mini very shortly. So the buttons are using the Huano blue shell pink dot switch. Is a switch that really took me by surprise last year and was one of my favorite switches, to be honest with you. Combine that with the well-designed shell that has minimal pre-travel and a nice cushioning bottom out. Not crazy like some other mice, but good enough. This mouse is a complete joy to click on. The side buttons, though, could use a little bit of work. They're not perfect, some slight pre-travel there. They are pretty similar in tactility, and that's not an easy thing to do, so I gotta give them props for that. But they do feel a little tough, especially when compared to some of the other top tier side buttons. Now, the scroll wheel is using the gold TTC encoder. Nice defined steps, has more of a gel-like feel to it. Not the greatest scroll wheel in the world, but it's just alright. I did, however, have some issues with my scroll wheel going off. By itself, I would see it scroll my gun in game randomly or bring up a menu that would normally be only turned on by pressing down on the mouse scroll. So, I don't know what's going on with that. Could just be a fluke. I know this is an early model of it, so maybe they haven't worked out all the kinks yet, or I just got a bad one. It happens. So if you do encounter that, I want you to come back to the video, drop me a comment, let me know if you guys encountered that as well. Then we can go to Lamzu and hopefully have them fix the problem. With all that being said, let's drop a sound test of the Atlantis Mini. So the wireless is rated at 70 hours. I assume this is to keep the weight down, but I would love to see more done here. A higher, battery life, maybe 100 hours. That would be sick. It is using a 3395 sensor, and honestly, I've had nothing to complain about. It feels like my shots are very crispy, I feel consistent, and it literally feels one-to-one with whatever I'm doing in my game. Now, I did do the polling rate tester. It shows that it stays and maintains a 1000 hertz polling rate. I know there's been talk of lag with the Lamzu mice, but in use, it feels so snappy and crisp. I've been playing some of the best Valorant that I've ever played, so I don't know. I'm all about real world use, and it seems like it's delivering on that, at least for me. In the software, the usual suspects like the liftoff distance, which you can change from 1mm to 2mm. You can also change the DPI or mouse button commands. You can also switch the debouncing down to 12 milliseconds. And I know what you might be thinking, that's the reason why I was getting the scroll wheel issue. No, it was happening before, even when I had it at the 12 milliseconds. All right, so if you're on the fence about getting a Lamzu mouse, it's 2023. You need to be checking out this mouse, especially if you're a claw grip user. I haven't said this in a while and I try not to say it, but in this case, I have to say it. This is not my main. It's incredible. It's not perfect, but it's still incredible. And I also just love the price point that they have it at. The $90 feels perfect here for everything that you're getting. And with all the hype, they could have easily tried to charge us $120, $150 for it. And I don't think people would really complain because they just love the Atlantis that much. Don't get any ideas, Lamzu, but I'm just saying, this is a great mouse. Now, if you are new here, we do a rating system, and for today, the Lamzu Atlantis Mini gets a score of 9.2. Checks a lot of boxes. I can't wait to see what Lamzu does next, and it's definitely gonna be, staying within that top 3, at least for the foreseeable future. Can't wait for them to have like a 4,000 hertz pulling rate mouse. That's gonna be sick. And that, who knows, maybe they can even surpass Razer at some point. The only thing really missing is like optical switches, slightly improved side buttons, and a better scroll wheel in my opinion. All right, so that's gonna do it for the Lamzu Atlantis Mini. I'm gonna drop some relevant content here. Maybe I'll drop the old OG Atlantis video. It has been your boy BT saying peace.